What's sweetest?
What's up, y'all? It's Organic here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add text into a video and how to animate it. In Hitfilm Express. Let's get into the video. Yo, it's Organic here in tutorial mode, and the first thing you're gonna want to do is open up that Hitfilm Express bad boy. Alright, so I'm assuming that you've seen the first tutorial video that I made, and hopefully you know all the basics by now because you're gonna need them. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. So, first thing you're gonna want to do is to open a new project, and it doesn't matter what doesn't matter what resolution you use in this tutorial, because we're just messing around with text here, nothing too heavy or tasking with pixels. All right, now that you have your timeline up right here, we're not gonna be adding the text or animating it in this timeline. We're gonna do it in a composite shot because, like I said in the first video, the composite shot allows for much more effects, but it also allows us to see the keyframes for other types of features that we make keyframes for. In this timeline, it only allows you to see keyframes for opacity and audio changes. To create a composite shot, you just need to click New and Composite Shot. Next thing you're going to want to do is add that text, baby boy. So we're going to scroll, clicking the arrow on here until you see text. But to actually add the text in, you can either click New Layer and click on Text, or you can click on this letter A and then drag across the screen and create a text box. Now that you have your text box, you can start typing. And I don't want to actually type that. I want to type something else. How about organic? Because that's original. Oop, almost misspelled it. All right, that text is looking a little bit tiny. To change the size of it, you're gonna want to go to this right here where it says font size, and you're gonna want to increase that number or decrease it to your liking. The change doesn't take effect until you highlight the text that you've added. Now, if you had these features set to something else before, and then you typed out your text, those features will be applied. But since you already typed this text out with some other type of features or sizes, you have to highlight it first and then change it. I'm actually going to want this to be at 300. There we go. I like it. So, up here is where you mess around with the font and the size and color of your text. And I'm going to want to change this font to something a little bit cooler. And I already know which one I want. It's going to be Future Now. That looks good. So, one other thing you could change is this spot right here where it says regular. There usually would be the option to make the text bold, but we don't have the bold option here, and it already looks pretty bold. But if you want to make it even bolder, you can add an outline. Once again, make sure your text is highlighted and click outline. And my outline is defaulted to red. I don't know why, but it's fine. You can change it. If you want to make sort of a fake bold effect, I guess I don't have to show it, but you just make it the same color as your current text and then stretch it out. Let's go ahead and change that to a different type of color. I want it to be sort of a cyan. Another thing that you can change about your outline is the way, I guess, the overall shape of the outline itself. Right here where it says overfill, if you left click it, you can change to underfill or centered. And my guess is that overfill makes it thicker, underfill thins it up a bit. It fills in less space, I guess, and centered is like a combination of both. Also, I don't feel like my text is centered, so let's change the way the paragraph is set up. So one way I could do that is to click on center alignment, and now it is centered. I can also center it some more by putting it at middle alignment. Some other features that you can change here are the uppercase and lowercase here. This button right here makes it all caps, this button makes it small caps, and this is called start case. It doesn't really change anything for this text. I don't know what that would do, but this right here in small caps makes the first thing uppercase and the rest of it is also uppercase but smaller. All caps is all of it being, all caps. Oh, I see the difference between start case. Start case would be starting uppercase, I guess, and the rest of it being lowercase. And this right here is lowercase. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything, probably because it is odd font. The other thing you can do is underline it or strike through it. But I don't want to do any of that, so I'm going to leave it as is. But I do want it at all caps because I like how that looks. And right here, you can either make this text a superscript, and this right here is the subscript button. Okay, so those are all the different features that you can change about your text itself. Now we're going to get into how to animate your text. All right, just like I showed an example for in the previous video, you can fade stuff in and out on this editing software. Most editing software have that feature. They better. It's very basic, and you should be able to do that with anything. So, you know, if you've seen that video, you know how to fade in and out. But if you haven't seen that video and you're just too stubborn to do it, I'm just gonna show you how to do it here real quick. So if you want it to fade in, you left click on this circle to add a keyframe. That's your starting point there. That's the keyframe, that blue diamond. And I'm gonna scroll across maybe about 1 second. And it's actually skipping quite past a lot of numbers or a lot of seconds. In order to scroll less fast, I guess, or across less time in a timeline, you're gonna wanna increase the timeline scale here. And now when I scroll across, it doesn't go as fast. So I'm gonna want it to stop at about one second. And right here, I'm gonna add another keyframe. In order to add keyframes, you can click on the number value and hit enter, or you could just change it. For example, if I had the player head here and change the value, it will put a new keyframe wherever that value change is, which is very handy for it to automatically do for you. So I want it to start off blank, and then now that I have that set as 0, it's now going to animate itself all the way back up to 100. Yeah, that looks great. I love it. Okay, so let's reset that. That's how you animate the opacity, or how you make it fade in. And if you want it to fade out, you just do the same thing but reverse. Have it start at 100 and end at 0. All right, let's say you want your text to kind of fly into frame from off frame. One way to do that is to animate the position. You left click the circle here to add a keyframe, and let's make it come from the top. You're gonna move this number up by left clicking and dragging to the right to go up. And as soon as your text is outside of the screen, then you're good. Now this text will start off screen, but after, let's just say, a second again, we're gonna want it to come into screen. So I'm gonna change this value. I can either change it to a different number, or I'm just gonna scroll this thing down. I'm just gonna scroll it down to right about where, it's not gonna be exactly where we had it before, but somewhere around there. So now your text kind of floats onto the screen. And if you want that to be a bit faster, you have it happen in less frames. So instead of 1 second, we can do half a second, and half a second would be 15 frames here. Since this video format that I'm editing in is 30 frames per second. So I'm gonna move this keyframe to where my player head is, and let's increase that timeline scale again so we can make sure it's right onto the player head. And now this will happen much faster. Okay, great. That's how you make things come from off screen onto on screen. And you can do the same thing, but for let's say you wanted to come in from the left or right or from the bottom. You could do the same exact thing, just have it start somewhere else and then have it end in the center. Let's say that you want your text to not only do that, but to start small and increase in size. One way to do that is to animate the scale. And to do that, you left click the circle to add a keyframe, and let's have the scale start at 0. And let's double click on this keyframe to automatically go to the end, and we're gonna put that at 100. Now it's animated to start at 0 and to end it at 100. So if we play it, it grows in size as well. So it kind of starts off as nothing, and then it slowly grows into something bigger. Now let's say that you want your text to have sort of a bouncy effect to it. Instead of it just plainly coming into the screen here, And let's say that you want the size of it to sort of look a bit more fluid and bouncy. One way to do that is to, instead of having it end at 100, you can have it end at a scale that's a bit higher than what you want it, and then go maybe 1 or 2 frames. I'm gonna do 2 frames and have it end at 100 a bit later. When it finally gets into the center of the frame, it's bigger than it's supposed to be, and then it goes to the right size. So now it looks a bit bouncy. So now it kind of bounces when it comes in, and that can be a nice effect that you can do for your text. Let's say that you also want to rotate the text. So create a keyframe. Let's say we wanted to make it spin maybe once or twice before entering the center frame. Right here where it has a number and the letter X is how many times it's been rotated. If I scroll this number and every time I hit 360, that's 1 rotation. And if I keep doing that, you know, it increases rotations, but I'm gonna put those back at 0. I just wanted to fully rotate twice before it reaches the center of the screen. So all I have to do is, oh, and before I even type the value in, I want to make sure I'm at the end of the video or at the end of the animation. I double click these to make sure the player head is right on it, and I'm going to type in 2 on this rotation counter here, and nothing changed here because that will be the very end where everything is back to normal. So if we play it, it rotates twice and then it kind of bounces. All right, so, and that rotation happens kind of fast. So instead of twice, I'm gonna make it rotate once. Okay, that looks much better to me. One other thing that you can do to make things a bit smoother and more fluid with motion is to add motion blur. And to do that is actually quite simple. All you have to do is go over to this icon right here, and it's called motion blur. Looks like a ball that has motion blur behind it. Pretty straightforward. Click it, and now your text has motion blur. So now you play it, things look smoother. And that looks fantastic, honestly. I like it. And if these animations still don't look smooth to you, you can change these regular diamond keyframes to manual Bezier keyframes. So to do that, you will highlight all your keyframes. You can click on this circle icon right here. If you click it, things will be even more fluid. And if you click on the value graph, you can see what's actually happening to your animations here. This is a curves graph. And as you can see here, if these were regular diamond keyframes, I'll just kind of change it to regular keyframes here. Then the animation is just straight. And it's still fluid because of motion blur, but it's still straight and angular. Now, if I changed it back to manual Bezier, everything's more smooth because the transition between each keyframe is curved. You can alter how curved it is by moving these dots. And if you really want to make your animations look smooth, you change these features here a lot. So now if I play it, it should be even smooth. Wow, that looks great. That just looks amazing. Okay, so that's pretty much it for how to add text and animate it in Hitfilm Express. Hope you guys learned a lot from this. I really enjoyed making this video, even though it took me 1,000 takes to get the sentences right and to not stutter, and I still ended up doing so in this last take. But you know, you can edit that stuff out. But I did enjoy this. I really do like making these videos, and I really hope that this inspired a lot of you to go out there and make things of your own. And I hope this is really useful to you guys. So if you like videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe to tune in for more. And I'll see you in the next one.